If you're a man over 40 and you're tired of spinning your wheels and you finally want to have a solution where you can look in the mirror and finally feel proud of yourself, this video is specifically for you because I'm going to show you how to raise your metabolism, hold it year round without actually depriving yourself and living like a monk. You run companies, you're the guy that everyone turns to when there's any sort of problems. But there's one thing you can't solve, which is the man in the mirror doesn't match what you actually feel like on the inside. Our clients say this all the time. It's not that you hate yourself, you just hate that gap because you know there's a higher version of yourself that you're not living in. And this is something you probably would never say out loud. The shirt just stays on in the pool. Like you're at the beach, you're hanging with your family, but there's a flicker of embarrassment as soon as you take off your shirt. Or maybe you're not even taking off your shirt. You go in the pool and you're wearing a t-shirt. Or someone younger than you owns the room, even though you accomplished so much more. And the reason why is because this person looks sharp. They're in shape. They take care of themselves. And you want that. What you want is not a top 1% activity. To earn over $1 million a year, 0.03%. That's 1 in 300. A six pack over 40 is even more rare. In fact, if you look at the stats here, 27% is the average American. 10 to 13% is what you need to see a six pack. Only 2% of men ever get below 15%. If you're over 40, that's like a fraction of a percent. It is so difficult for you to even do this. Even to get a six pack over 40, it is so difficult. You're doing both. So you're trying to do two rare groups at once. It's just not possible with just random and non-intentional movements. You cannot run the same playbook as everyone else because you're not Fred. You're not just some average dad that doesn't have the work stress, that doesn't travel, don't have the demands, isn't the provider. I help founders, executives, high performers rebuild a high status body that's actually sustainable, that's actually systematized, that's actually working specifically with your body using data without living like a monk. Every single one, this is the biggest reason, every single crash diet lowers your metabolic floor, which means if you eat less, you will lose weight, of course. Losing weight is very simple. Losing weight just requires you to eat less and starve yourself, fast, all that stuff. Well, guess what happens? You lose weight short term. It kind of works, but then it's too restrictive and you fall off. But more importantly, every single time you go through that diet, your metabolism slows down to adjust. It's called metabolic adaptation. And so what ends up happening is your metabolic flora lowers. You end up eating the average American, which is 2,500 calories. You gain all that weight back. But the next time you try, it's so much harder. This is called metabolic adaptation. It's something that we tried our best to avoid when I was working at the UFC. It's the biggest thing. And we use this using data. We have to understand this. And number two, you didn't build all this to live out of a Tupperware container. You're rich. Like literally, you don't want to just go and eat shitty food. But you got sold the idea that you have to train 7 days a week. You have to kill the alcohol. You have to kill the vacation. You have to live like a monk. You do not need to do this. You work way too hard for this. So how do you actually balance both an incredible life, the lifestyle you earn, plus actually getting the body without living like a monk? We'll walk you through this. All you really need to do is not what I say. It's what the data says. You need to look at the data and then derive a system out of the data, something that actually works for you. And then looking at the numbers, you can tell yourself, hey, this is what actually works best for me at this age to help me lose the muscle and fat. And then from here, you can double down on it. That is what you need to focus on. Who am I? I'm a doctor physical therapist. I used to be the former UFC physical therapist. And here is where we really helped the best athletes in the whole world, guys, get in the best shape of life. They lose weight, they have to compete, they have to lose weight, they have to perform at the highest level, and we use data. We're applying the exact same playbook to over 1,300 men. And this is a concierge surgeon system specifically for men over 40 men who have to travel. Maybe they're barely sleeping, they're stressed, they have so many things going on in their life, and they don't have anything that truly works for their lifestyle. And this works literally for our clients. You can see here, this is Ben. He was barely eating at this point. He tried all these diets, never really had something sustainable. This is him now. And he's able to maintain this very effortlessly. It's only 10% body fat, guys. It's not like you're trying to go 6% like all these bodybuilders. They get there and guess what happens? They balloon up like crazy. That's not a good system. You're not here to just lose weight and then see you later. You want to get here, you want to maintain it, and you want to make sure it turns autopilot. I'll walk you through how this all works. The real problem is this. It's not about your discipline. It's not about your lack of consistency. It's your metabolic floor, which no one actually tells you about. And it's the metabolism that slows down, which makes things super difficult, which is why you have to focus on building this up. If you build this up, it's so much easier for you to sustain long term because it's not about willpower. You literally out-discipline 99% of people out there. Okay? So your metabolic floor is this. It's the energy your body burns from just being you, moving, thinking, recovering, who you are, right? So if you are just, let's just say your metabolism is around 3,000 calories, it's so much easier to maintain that than if your metabolism is at 2,000 calories. And it's something you can build. There's things that you can control and there's things you cannot control. The things you cannot control is this number, the metabolism, slows down from every single crash that you do. Plus, every single year that goes by, your metabolism slows down because your organ functions decrease. If your organ functions decrease, your metabolism slows down. So you need to find a way to preserve this every single time you do a deficit. You need to look at the data. It's not about, oh, I'm just losing weight and the number on the scale. You're not about that. You need to understand what is specifically happening for your body. Because what could really happen, and go back to this example, Ben here didn't really lose that much weight at all. He probably lost a total of like 4 pounds. But we found a way for him to lose like 3 pounds of fat, gain 3 pounds of muscle in like 2 months. So then what we did was we looked at why this happened. What was his stress level like? What was his HRV looking like? Which is your heart rate variability, which is how you recover. Number 2, what was like the other aspect, thyroid function? What was his testosterone looking like? Once you understand this, it becomes very easy for us to start to optimize things and look at the constraint. The constraint is what you need to solve for. And then from here, start to actually implement this into your life so it's real life. What do you do when you're traveling? What do you do if you have the kids for the weekend? What do you do if you have to, take care of business and it's a really, really stressful time and chaos? Like, how do you navigate that? And that's what you need to implement. You need to look at the things that work so you can apply this. So you're not just putting in and just putting into your life where there's so much already going on. You have to optimize that by removing things that don't work. And that's how you free up bandwidth. Okay. And your metabolism is this, guys. You can cut super hard. Your scale's going to move, obviously, but losing weight versus losing fat is completely different. You could lose weight, but then what if you lose muscle? There's so many people now that are on GLP-1. Yeah, they can lose 30 pounds, but have you ever met someone that lost 30 pounds on GLP-1? Number 1, they look skinny fat. They look almost sick. And number 2, what if you lose all this muscle? It's the metabolism that's going to keep you there for a long period of time, right? And then from there, the interest really comes because it's so much harder for you to lose weight next time because your metabolism slows down and it's a vicious cycle. Okay. So what we really need to do first is not just go through these old crash diets. What we need to do is raise the floor, get you up to 3,000 calories over a period of time. And that becomes a lot more sustainable than just depriving yourself. Okay. So how do we do this? Maintenance gets lighter while your life gets a lot more healthy, right? Think about that. Eating 3,000 calories, maintain that versus eating 2,000 calories. Big difference. The constraints aren't excuses. They're just design specs. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to build stuff around your life, not on top of it. Okay. So if you're just adding stuff on top, it's like, hey, you have to do more workouts. You have to do 90 minutes of lifts. You have to do Tupperware. You have to do this. It's like, that's why people fall off. But instead, what if we just looked at your life? What does it look like to be you? Okay, well, you travel to Arizona on the weekends, you're going to New York, you take clients out for dinner, you drink alcohol here. This is a very, very busy season for your life. This is how much hours of sleep you're getting. Okay, when this happens, when you're during chaos, these are the 3 things you want me to implement. Implement that. This is what you want to eat when you take your clients over to the steakhouse, the XYZ. This is what you do. When you go to airport, eat this. And then from here, what we can really do is just look at the data afterwards. We can get a DEXA scan, in-body scan, whatever it is, whatever's convenient, and actually look at the numbers and be like, when you implement this specific system, what happens to your body? Now it's no longer, oh, I feel like you're losing weight. Oh, I feel like this. It's like, no, this is what's literally happening when you have this specific playbook in this season of your life. Now you have conclusive data and you can use that data. And the reason why you want to do this is so that you can find efficiencies. You can find the things that really work for you. And let's just say stress levels are super high. It's not the time for you to do type 2 super high level training. It's not the time for you to push 1 rep max. It's not the time for you to go through a slow carb diet. It's not time for that. It's time for you to go through a deload, for you to focus on just aerobic activity, do this specific type of training. And then now you start to optimize so much faster, so much easier, because now you're building around your life as opposed to just putting on top of it. Okay. And that's what the Intelligent Athlete System is all about. Number 1, get clear outcome. Losing weight is very different to get into a certain body fat percentage. For instance, show you here, body fat percentage versus weight loss. If you want to just lose a ton of weight, it's very simple. Just go through fast, go through these workout plans, go through a nutritionist, all that stuff. But if you want to get to 10% body fat and intentionally maintain this, you have to be extremely intentional with what you do. How do you do this? You need to implement a plan that actually works for your body. And over time, you can find the thing that works for you so you can double down on this. Number two, using the data. What actually works for you at 40 years old versus 50 years old? Super different. Then from here, once we have the data for what works, we can build this around your life. What time do you wake up? What time do you sleep? What's in between? Where do you go train? How are you going to train? When you go to travel, like what's the situation like? And then from here, you start to implement. We work together every single day so we can sort of custom build your specific playbook. Then from here, you're going to hit a plateau, of course. Plateaus, usually when people hit that, they do one of two things. Eat less, work out more. That's going to make things so much worse because obviously if you eat less, your metabolism slows down. If you work out more, think about like people who ride bikes all the time. They ride bikes for hours, but they still have huge guts. Why is that? Because all they focus on is that first thing, which is losing as much weight as possible, energy expenditure, and just cutting out food. That's not what we want to do here. When you hit that plateau, it's an indicator that we need to focus on building. We need to build your metabolism. We need to look at the data. We need to look at your weaker muscles, slowly build that back up. And then you know what happens? The gas tank increases. If your gas tank increases, what happens to your metabolism? It starts to increase. This is how some of our clients over a period of time, it's not instant, but you can start to eat an extra 300 calories per day, which is around 2,100 extra calories per week. That there is a lot more sustainable than just depriving, restricting. And now you can go through this process back and forth until you hit your set point. Your set point, maybe it's 10% body fat, maybe it's 15% body fat. Guys, it's usually around 10 to 15. Once you hit that point, we can decide how to actually maintain this. You can start to train to become more athletic. You can train to become more fast twitch. Think about guys like Cristiano Ronaldo, super athletic. He has very high energy expenditure, but more importantly, he has a lot of fast twitch muscle fiber. This here at rest burns so much more calories at rest. This is how you're able to maintain this so much easier because now instead of like counting calories, all you need to do is just get way more fast twitch muscle fiber, burn way more at rest, and allow your metabolism to do all the heavy lifting. Okay, that's what we do. Get super clear in the plan. Not just lose weight, get specific on the body fat percentage. What does your life actually look like when you're traveling, when you're taking out clients for dinner? What does it actually look like? Then from here, really easy for us to look at your life, systematize things. Weight loss is super easy, guys. Just eat less. That's not the goal, though. It's about building a plan that actually works for you. You need to do this using data. That way we can stop guessing and we can start using DEXA scan to actually find out what works truly for your body. This is the gold standard. From here, it tells us specifically what your body composition is made out of. And then when we implement the plan, we can see how much fat did you actually lose? Did you lose muscle mass? If you lost muscle mass, then we can implement and make interventions accordingly based off of this number. From here, it's not the scan, it's how you read it. You wouldn't just get an MRI, just follow away. You'd have a doctor come in, tell you exactly what's going on and create a plan to navigate through this. In most cases, always comes back to this one thing, your metabolism. Years of this crash diets. But now we have a solution where we can start to, over time, start to build this back up. Okay. Then from here, we can start to build the system around your life. What time do you sleep? What time do you wake up? How often do you work? How often do you travel? What foods you like? How do you take clients out for dinner? From here, it becomes hyper specific. And we tell you exactly how to do this while maintaining your goals. What are the 3 things you need to do every single day? Then from here, obviously you're gonna hit that plateau. And when you hit that plateau, perfect. We can't just eat less. It's all about building the metabolism, right? Most people will just cut out calories. That's not what we do. We need to actually treat you this. Going back to the Vancouver cyclist example, so many people just lose a ton of weight. Okay, but they have huge guts. That's not what we want here. Okay, building metabolism to tell you exactly what works, then measuring using the data. Okay, from here, a lot of our clients are able to eat 2,000 plus calories per week just from this process. And then from here, we can really actually truly maintain this through having a very high energy expenditure, because basically what's going to happen is in 45 minutes, you can do harder exercise so you burn more at rest. And number 2, most importantly, you have this guy, which is going to help you not only live longer, you just become way more explosive. You become a fat burn machine. And that's how you truly maintain this without counting calories, restrictive diets, and so forth. But so the most important thing, get clear on your goals, get the data, build it on your life, understand the loop, the plateau, build them. Well, Dex, what if I don't have time? Well, think about it like this. What if you had 3 hours of focused, intentional work per week? If you have 3 hours, you can build intentionality. Because then from here, you can start to understand what works and then maximize that time together. If we can't handle 3 hours and the plan's wrong, that's on us. But from here, we can install a system that actually runs in the cracks of the one that you already have. And that's how you start to slowly implement. What if I travel too much? Well, having an airport protocol, hotel, understanding what to eat at the steakhouse, super powerful. Because then now it's all about making decisions, right? When travel is this thing that you do all the time, you need to build a system that you can do while you're traveling, because that's what you do. If you have Christmas every single year and you fall off during Christmas, you need to learn how to navigate that during Christmas. What if my body's beat up? Well, understanding that this is part of the process. You need to go through pain-free ranges first, where you build tissue capacity. And once you have more tissue capacity, you can actually build more tolerance. I'm not giving up my drinking. You don't have to, right? That's one of the biggest reasons why people don't even get started. They think that they have to take away all the food that they love, the drinks, they have to like hermit mode and be a monk. And that's not the plan. Like some of our clients, they go on big nights, they have bachelor parties, they have golf trips, right? It's about planning to not just like offset, it's about building systems into place so you know what to do without feeling guilty, right? So yeah, this is the biggest thing, guys. Your body is a press release. Honestly, like how you show up is extremely powerful because that's the first intentions. This is never about vanity. It's about actually building the system where you're able to consistently do this for a long period of time so that it closes the gap between the mirror and the man that you see on the inside. So book a diagnostic audit. This is not like some sort of sales call. It's really just to understand what's really happening with your metabolism. And then from here, you can figure out, we can map it out. You can build a plan, your calendar, your labs if you have them, your injury report. From here, you can create a plan for you, okay? And from here, just be honest about which one you are. The one that wants shortcuts, or some sort of fantasy, skip the call. But if you want to actually have visible changes under real constraints, show up super ready. So before we meet, a few things: screenshot your typical week, get your scale, right? Just weigh yourself, and then have a photo of yourself, front, side, and back. And then from here, we can diagnose what's really, really happening. Then from here, let's make the man in the mirror match the man on the inside. Let's do this, guys.